Yeah, everything's fine. Just had a strange day today. Did something bad happen? No. Well, not sure. Did something good happen today? No. Yes. Maybe. Well, son, just tell me what's on your mind. I, I, I. It's all right, son. I'm your father. I love you no matter what. I. Go ahead. Just say it. I will. Just let me breathe. No problem. A few minutes pass as worries fill his head from end to end to end to end. And finally, without wanting to let them out at that specific time, words just slip seamlessly and unintentionally into the air. I need to tell you that you are the reason why I left the Torah life. Growing up, I did not have a mind of my own. But as time progressed, I saw you mindlessly repeating religious words like a robot. No feeling, no care. Only a responsibility at best and a habit at worst. The only religious time that I saw you enjoy were times that the religious duty was an event that would be enjoyable to anyone. But never did I see you alone outside of a crowd. Truly care for your religion. In order to rectify this, I need you to be real with me. I need you to tell me directly and succinctly why you remain Orthodox. Why do you act like you do? Why do you care at all? Is it to maintain your marriage? Is it because you don't want to admit that you're wrong? Is it because you don't think? Is it just because your family did it? Is it because you're sure, relax, I get it. And if you don't have an answer, why did you raise me into it? Total silence. The father feels the breath from within his body escape and seem like it'll never come back. He never knew this pain before. For so many years, he wondered why his son left. He tried so hard, did everything he could to keep his son on the straight path. And his son just kept on fighting back. And he thought it was just because his son wanted to pursue other things in his life, not because Yeshua was observing his actions. Up until now, his father thought that the pain that his son placed on him was too great to bear, and now it just became so much greater. He knew that what his son said was true, but he did not know how to deal with it. He panicked, and he shouted, "Don't blame me for your shortcomings. All you've done is slaughtered my insides for years, leaving me sad and hurt. Don't question me, question yourself. Who do you think you are? I'm your father. Respect me." "And I'm not afraid of you," Yeshua responded. "I know that. So why are you yelling at me? Scared of my question? Well, questions is all that I'm left with after all these years. Questions piled on questions, piled on questions, a mountain of questions, a conscience filled with questions, running thoughts that never stop and don't let me sleep. Questions, questions, questions. And while I was going through it all, you never stopped to ask me why I was doing what I was doing. You never asked me what was my question. You only presupposed you had the answer. Idiotic if you ask me, Dad. So now I let you answer my questions. Now I tell you my questions. If you need time to think about it, that's fine. And if you want to ignore me, fine. But don't think that I'll let this go until there is resolve. Don't expect me to come home or to family events. You raised me to be a man, and now you need to be a man yourself. Just answer my questions. Where was your religiosity? Why in the world would you dare try to make me an Orthodox Jew? if you are not religious at heart, answer me now. Yeshua started to cry. These 2 minutes took a strength which he never knew was inside of him. And in truth, he did not feel like it was him speaking. And he waited. 1 minute, 2, 3, 4. Are you there, Dad? Yeah. 5, 6 minutes, 7, 8. The only noise that could be heard in these moments were breath, but the amount of words that were being said in both minds were too numerous to count. Total chaos and void, both feeling like they were devoid of being able to do anything to fix this problem. Until the father, exhausted, began to talk. Life is taxing. It has taken most of my energy from me. Working every day, maintaining a family, and a relationship to your mother. I have to admit, I've been removed from religiosity, and for many years. But it does not mean that I'm not religious. Just the energy that I have to give, I give to others in simple kindnesses and actions. Okay, Yeshua answered. And what about God? What about the basis of our religion? Is it real to you or not? Did you raise me to something that is not close to you? That is not precious to you? Did you raise me just because, or was it for a reason? Well, of course, it's for a reason. His father paused, collecting his thoughts. And then he remembered. Let me tell you something about my life, he said to Yeshua. I was once flying to Japan on business, 5 years before you were born. And I was hoping to become rich from this trip. I was meeting with the head of a massive industrial manufacturer. Mom and I were so excited for this prospect, once in a lifetime. Got off the plane, and I found my way to the hotel. When I got there, I immediately fell asleep. In order that I was prepared for my meeting the next day, I did not pray the night prayers because I was so tired, and the next day was so important to me. I woke up the next day and looked at the clock, noticing that I only had 15 minutes to get to my meeting with the president of the company. I ran downstairs, got in a taxi, and asked him to go as fast as possible, 2 miles to the place where I was told to go. I walked in the door just in time. There were 3 men that greeted me, bowing their heads and guiding me to the table that was on the floor. I sat with them, and there was breakfast. I felt so awkward. I didn't tell them about my dietary restrictions, and I began to wonder, why should I stick out like a sore thumb amongst them? Should a little food determine my faith? My faith with the financial success of my entire family? I decided on that day to forego my religious obligations. I ate all they gave me. I chatted with them. I told jokes with them. I drank with them. I even sang karaoke with them and their waitresses. As I got drunker and drunker, I looked down at my feet and looked around, and I was slapped with a realization. I was becoming just like them. So quickly I was able to drop everything in order to make money. So quickly I was. I realized that I was forgoing God because of my desire for acceptance from a man. My heart dropped. I started to sweat. And I knew I needed to make a decision. All of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I began to pray from the depths of my heart. It made no sense in the middle of karaoke, because the profit of this meeting was seemingly so much greater than a few insignificant acts of piousness. Was it not more pious to take care of my family? Why was I feeling this way? The business owner looked at me and said, "What's wrong with you? Why are you crying?" I said to him the following: I cannot explain it to you, what I'm going through right now. I just can tell you that I feel like I have died inside, and yet this death might be bringing me to life. The owner looked at me like I was crazy. I told him that I would need to leave the meeting and hoped that he would meet with me again the next day. When I got to the hotel, I was totally and completely overwhelmed. Why did I feel so bad? I was preparing a life of happiness for so many other people than just myself. Why not just be like them for one night in order to impress them? Now for sure, they would never want to make a business deal with me after seeing me crying in the middle of this place. Anyways, no one would know what I did while I was in Japan, so maybe I should carry on and continue being like them. But the pictures kept running in my mind of the night. All the ways in which I had forsaken my God for the acceptance of man and the pursuit of money. I cried and I cried as each image passed before my eyes, and I could not understand why. Why did I care? But at the same time that I could not understand, I fully understood. It took me 30 years to finally break our religious code of conduct in so many ways within one day, to realize that inside of me innately was a religiosity that carried me, that dictated my pathways, that guided me, that was me, that was not my nurture, but my nature. I was a Jew at that moment and forward. It was my saving grace. My moment of true religiosity was my moment away from orthodoxy. But these moments, my son, come so few and far between that I lose inspiration for years at a time, sometimes for 10 years at a time. But I know where my home is, and I know where my heart is, and I never question it, because it is who I am. So Yeshua asked, what happened with the business deal? The next day I called the owner and I told him a lot about my real self. He was very understanding and kind. He apologized for pressuring me into such a different lifestyle. If he would have known, he never would have brought me to that specific breakfast place. We can set up a meeting for that evening, he said, but in a better place. Before the meeting, I called your mom and I told her all about it. I felt absolutely terrible. I always wondered if I would feel terrible, and I did. But not because it made sense. Not because I actually did not like the food, or I actually did not like the people, or I did not want to be where I was. Instead, because I realized the problem was I was in a costume, trying to be like them and not like me. But until then, all I was me. And so I never was able to appreciate it. And being in a costume pained me. It pained me to be who I don't want to be, nor who I am. She was understanding but confused and told me the following: don't worry, dear. Sometimes life brings you to strange places for strange lessons. Don't worry about the money. It won't help us. Be who you really want to be. It won't help us, this money, in order to be happy in the end. Only care and devotion to one another will. I know that you'll always try your best to make money, but not because you want money, but instead because you want to be you. I married you for you and for no one else. So even the person that I love, that exact person, I expect to be involved in this business dealings also, and driven by who you are, not by who they are. I went to the business meeting that night, and this time we went straight to tea and talking. It turned out that the partnership was not at all perfect, but I built a strong relationship with the business owner. We're best friends until today. Wow, Dad, thanks so much for sharing. It was the first time that his father was open with his son about his life. A great relief to both of them. So is this why you raised me to be Orthodox? When I think about it, I guess that it was this defining moment that kept me on the pathway and strengthened my resolve. So, yes, I'll have to think about it, Dad. Thanks for answering my questions. You're welcome.